Just put it in a trust, don't declare it. Italy will never find out. I see these comments every week, and every week I worry about the people reading these. Because here's what really happens. Penalties for undeclared foreign assets in Italy range from 3% to 15% of the asset value, and up to 30% if those assets are held in certain jurisdictions. And that's per year. On a $500,000 IRA, that's up to $150,000 in fines per year, every single year. And trusts, Italian law specifically closes that door. Assets held through a trust are still your assets in Italy's eyes. The shortcuts don't work, but legal solutions do. And that's what's in this video. Quick recap for everyone who's new here. And if you want the full breakdown, I have an entire video dedicated to these two taxes. Link in description, or you can click above. So Italy charges two different wealth taxes on assets you hold outside of Italy. First is the IVIE, which is 1.06% on any real estate you hold abroad, your US home, your vacation property, any land. And second is the IVAFE, which is 0.2% on foreign financial assets. Your IRA, your 401k, your brokerage accounts, or your US bank accounts. And here's what most people miss. Shares in a foreign business you own, even one you don't actively manage, even if it's a passive stake, those are also subject to IVAFE. If you have equity in a US company, Italy counts that as a foreign financial asset. These are not income taxes. These apply to value of what you own every single year just for living in Italy. Now let's talk about what you can actually do about this. I want to quickly talk about something I did, because where you are now is pretty much where I was 3 years ago. And for the past 3 months, I've been working on a book which I put into it everything I know, and I've been doing this for a while now. And it has everything you need to know to make your move to Italy as straightforward as possible. It's a big book. It's over 70 pages, and it has in it the visas, the taxes, regions you would think about moving, healthcare, everything you need to know about that, which is very important for most of us. It's called the Italian Retirement Blueprint. And again, you get everything you need in one place, in plain English, PDF format, instant download. This is pretty much the book I wish I had when I started my journey of retirement in Italy. So you can get to it by scanning the QR code, or I will leave a link in the description below, and I hope you find it useful. Let's address the comments, because I want to explain why these things don't work before we talk about what actually does work. So number one I get is just don't declare it. Italy participates in the automatic information exchange under FATCA and the OECD Common Reporting Standard. This actually means that your US bank reports you, your broker reports you. The IRA shares data with Italy. The Italian tax authority is not operating in the dark. Penalties for undeclared assets run from 3 to 15% per year for standard jurisdictions, and up to 30% for assets held in blacklisted countries. And that's before the back taxes and interests. So this is not a gamble worth taking. Second one is put it in a trust. And Italian law specifically addresses this. The IVIE and the IVAFE apply even when the assets are beneficially owned through a trust or another entity acting as a nominee. It actually looks through the structure to the beneficial owner. Third one is put it in an LLC. And it's pretty much the same principle. If you control the LLC, benefit from its assets, and it has no genuine substance in its own right, Italy will treat those assets as yours. Now for the part you came for. And there are 5 legitimate approaches, and the right one depends on your situation. Number 1 is the foreign tax credit on the IVIE tax. That is for most Americans holding US property. And this one surprises people. For many American homeowners, the IVIE bill on their US property is already covered. And here's why. Italy allows you to credit taxes paid on foreign property in its home country against your IVIE liability. In plain English, your US property taxes offset your Italian IVIE bill. Let's run the numbers. Let's say you own a home in the US worth $400,000. IVIE at 1.06% is approximately 3,900 euros per year, but you're already paying $6,000 per year in US property taxes on that same home. That's $6,000, roughly 5,500 euros, fully offsets that 3,900 euro IVIE liability. Result? Zero IVIE. This doesn't work for everyone. If your US property taxes are unusually low relative to your property value, or if you own a property in a country with little or very low property tax, the credit may not fully offset the IVIE. But for most Americans with US property, this is proper good news that most people never hear about. The IVAFE on financial assets, that's kind of a different story. The property taxes don't apply there, which brings us to the next solution. Solution 2 is insurance wrapper, Police Vita. This works mostly for high net worth individuals with large investment portfolios. This is one of the least talked about solutions in the English-speaking expat world and could be one of the most powerful for the right person. An Italian or EU insurance wrapper is a life insurance investment product offered by Italian and EU insurance companies. You actually transfer your investment assets into the policy, which holds them on your behalf. And here's why it matters. Assets held inside a qualified Italian or EU insurance wrapper are usually exempt from IVAFE. Solution 3 is the 7% flat tax regime. That's for qualifying retirees. Short update, it just got changed on April 2026. It used to be towns of up to 20,000 residents, and now it's towns of up to 30,000 residents, which are actually small cities with infrastructure and much better services you can use. The 7% flat tax regime allows qualified retirees to pay a flat 7% on all foreign sourced income, social security, pensions, IRA distributions, and investment income from abroad. This is up to 10 years instead of Italy's standard progressive tax system, which can go up as high as 43% on your income. So what's relevant here is that under the 7% tax regime, the IVIE and the IVAFE are completely waived. There is one thing you need to know. You must not have been a resident for the past 5 years, and you must elect the regime in your first Italian tax return. You cannot apply retroactively. If you are looking into this regime and your town did not qualify before, look again. It might now. If you need a tax consultant or a specialist, contact me by email directly and I will connect you with the people I work with in Italy. Solution 4 is the 300,000 euro neo-residenti flat tax regime. Again, this is for high net worth individuals with very large foreign income. This is the most powerful solution on the list and the most expensive. Under the neo-residenti regime, you pay a flat 300,000 euros per year in place of all Italian taxes on foreign income sources, regardless of how much that income actually is. And like the 7% tax regime, the IVIE and the IVAFE are waived. So that's no wealth tax on foreign property, no wealth tax on IRA distribution, 401k or brokerage accounts you have. And most important, no foreign asset reporting obligations. For someone with 2 million euros with foreign financial assets, this regime lasts up to 15 years, and family members can join for an additional 50,000 euros per year per family member. At 300,000 euros annually, it would make sense when your total Italian tax under the standard system would exceed that, which means a foreign income of roughly 700,000 euros per year or more. Okay, there's one thing I wanted to say, and I think it's very important. I would really love to hear your comments about this. When you reach this certain age and you decide to finish a part of your life where you are and start the next part of your life in a different country, we're talking about Italy in this instance, and that means leaving your home behind and friends and family sometimes, and start a new adventure in a new country with new rules and new opportunities. And this country takes care of the people living in it in a wonderful way. That includes the healthcare system and taking care of its people pretty much in every way you can think about. But this country has its own rules and its own taxes and its own way of life. And what they ask for you is to join them in their way of life. I mean, the foreign taxes, the IVIE, which you pay on your home back in America or back in Australia or the UK, doesn't matter, wherever you live, is not different from a tax that the Italians pay on their second home. You don't pay the IMU tax, which is approximately the same as the IVIE, on your main residential home. You pay it on your second home, the one you don't reside in, the same as the one you have abroad. So if Italy wants to tax you on that, I don't think you should pay more than you're supposed to, but I do think you're supposed to pay for it, as all Italians do on their second house. So I think it's something you should keep in mind before you go and look for ways to challenge their way of life pretty much. So that's what I wanted to say about this. And let's go to the fifth option, the fifth way you can pay what you should pay and not more. And this is pretty much the most powerful way there is. And solution 5 is pre-structuring. This is good for everyone and it is very time sensitive. This solution applies to everyone watching this video, and it is the one with the hardest deadline. The most important thing you can do with Italian wealth taxes is plan before you get Italian residency. The day you register at your local comune is the day your Italian tax obligations begin. Every financial move made after that point falls under Italian tax rules. So things you need to do before you arrive: review your asset structure with a cross-border specialist. Some assets can be structured as to reduce Italian reporting obligations. Consider timing large asset sales, rebalancing, or capital gain harvesting before you become an Italian resident. Gains realized before that are not subject to Italian tax. Evaluate whether an insurance wrapper makes sense to your portfolio and set it up before you arrive, not after. If the 300,000 euro regime is relevant to your situation, begin the structuring process well in advance. This is something that cannot be rushed. If you own a business with passive foreign shareholders, you have to understand exactly how that stake will be treated under the IVAFE and plan accordingly, and ensure your US property tax documentation is in order to support the IVIE foreign tax credit from day one. The window for pre-move planning closes the day you register as an Italian resident. Everything before that date is opportunity. Everything after it is managing the consequences of decisions made before. None of these are DIY solutions. They all require professional advice, but they are all legal, legitimate, and available to you right now. The people losing money are not the ones who faced unavoidable taxes. They are the ones who either didn't know these solutions existed, or they tried the shortcuts instead. If you want to understand the full Italian tax picture, I made the complete Italy tax guide of 2026. It covers everything in this video and more: the IVIE, the IVAFE, all three special tax regimes, the US-Italy tax treaties, social security, pensions, and 4 complete worked examples. Link in the description, or you can follow the QR code. You can find a free tax calculator in my website, italyblueprint.com. And if you want a personal referral to a cross-border tax specialist who understands both sides, email me directly and I will get you in touch with them. So I think the next video you should actually watch is this one here.